Chapter 18, Affirmations. We are what we think. There is a great deal of power in the thoughts, spoken words, and written statements that we make about ourselves. A direct correlation exists between the way a person thinks and how he or she behaves. It is difficult for many of us to imagine how much of our own reality we create by how we think and speak. Current research does, however, indicate that to a large extent, we create our own realities with our own thoughts. Research in the health sciences definitely proves that thoughts and attitudes contribute to the healing process, and that these same thoughts and attitudes can also contribute to ill health. The difference is whether these thoughts are positive or negative. The alcoholic family is a hotbed of negative thinking and behavior. The children who are raised in this system learn at a very early age that they are worthless, and that as individuals, they are no good. To say that most ACAs have a poor self-image is an understatement. At every front, the alcoholic family batters its children with negative thinking. The negative thinking becomes so ingrained in ACAs that it becomes unconscious. The unconscious programming stays with these children all of their lives. The unconscious programming can, however, be changed, and using affirmations is one of the most powerful ways to produce this change. Affirmations are positive thoughts that a person deliberately introduces into his or her consciousness, so that the old negative programming is replaced by new positive programming. ACA's negative programming runs deep and comes about directly as a result of being raised in an alcoholic family. As a child, the ACA, like all children, received both verbal and nonverbal messages from the important adults in his or her life. Many times, these messages were translated into negative programming. As adults, this negative programming is still carried around in the unconscious mind. Affirmations can, over a period of time, replace those old negative programs. It is vital to remember that affirmations are not used to repress feelings. They are not used to stuff emotions. ACAs have a great deal of experience with how to stuff feelings and emotions. They don't need another technique. The process of releasing stuffed negative emotions must occur for the ACA to grow. Affirmations create a new and fresh point of view rather than just replace the old ideas. Creating this new point of view is called cognitive reconstruction. There are a number of different ways to do affirmations. Although the FIS is primarily set up for writing, I feel that all aspects, including writing affirmations, need to be learned by the ACA. The ways to use affirmations that I have found most effective are: number 1, spoken silently to oneself. Number 2, said out loud. Number 3, spoken out loud to another person. Number 4, spoken into a recorder and played back. Number 5, written down on paper. Number 6, sitting in front of a mirror and looking into your eyes and saying them to yourself. The following statements are guidelines to using affirmations. Number 1, affirmations are positive statements. We teach people to affirm the positive rather than reinforce the negative. Number 2, affirmations are most effective when they are short and to the point. Keep them simple. Number 3, affirmations are kept in the present time, in the now. Number 4, affirmations affirm what one desires rather than what one wants to get rid of. Number 5, affirmations take time to get results. They should not be put on a timetable. The results will unfold at their own speed. Number 6, Affirmations are repeated each day. It is the repetition of the positive affirmation that produces the desired result. An ACA named Helen was married to an alcoholic. Her husband had been sober for 4 years, but had returned to drinking, and had been drinking for about 2 years when Helen came to me for counseling. Like many ACAs, Helen had an extremely low self-image. She could not imagine what she could do to change her current living situation, but she knew that she had to do something because she was lost in a lot of emotional pain. Like many people in her situation, she also blamed herself for her husband's drinking problem. After Helen and I had been in 2 counseling sessions, we worked out a simple affirmation that she could do at home and at work. The affirmation was, I, Helen, love myself. Helen's instructions were to say this affirmation 10 times to herself every morning. I, Helen, love myself. 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 Helen's self-image was so poor that at first she was unable to say the affirmation out loud. After a number of weeks, she could say the affirmation out loud to herself, at which point I had her say the affirmation aloud each morning while looking into her bedroom mirror. It was a major turning point in Helen's life when, during a counseling session, she was able to look at me in the eye and tell me, I, Helen, love myself. Each ACA is different, and affirmations should be tailored to individual needs. In Helen's case, we needed to start very gently, with her saying the affirmation first, silently to herself, then out loud to the mirror, and finally out loud to me. Over the months that Helen and I were in the counseling relationship, she continued to do her affirmation, and her feelings of self-love got stronger and stronger. The result of this work was that Helen finally left the unhealthy relationship and rebuilt her life. I received a telephone call from her a year after she moved out of town, and she was still doing fine and still doing her affirmation. The affirmation, I love myself, is an important one for ACAs. Most ACAs have very little regard for themselves, and this love affirmation is very helpful in changing the old programming. This affirmation is also very powerful when written 10 times each day. I have gotten some very positive feedback from ACAs who have used their affirmations in creative ways. A powerful method for using affirmations is to have the ACA record the affirmation onto a tape and play the tape back at convenient times, such as while driving to and from work or when doing homework. As the tape is being played, you can either listen or say the affirmation along with the recording. The most powerful way to use an affirmation is to write it down on paper. This method strongly reinforces the affirmation because as it is being written, it is seen, said to oneself, and felt as the act of writing is taking place. This is the section of the FIS where affirmations are written. Changes in attitude and point of view occur very rapidly with ACAs who use written affirmations. Written affirmations are most effective when written 10 to 20 times each day. I am partial to morning, but any time during the day is effective. I choose morning because if I don't do things then, I have a tendency to never get around to them. Do not become overloaded with affirmations. Doing 4 or 5 affirmations at one time can be very time-consuming and discouraging. Working on 1 or 2 affirmations at a time is the best. To be most powerful, the written affirmation is done in the first person, I, the second person, you, and the third person, he or she. Here is an example involving an ACA named Stephen. Like many ACAs, Stephen was having a difficult time getting in touch with his emotions. He felt very stuck. He knew that he was blocking emotions, but he did not know how to get unstuck. The affirmation that we worked out for Stephen was, I, Stephen, am capable and willing to experience all my emotions. This part of the affirmation is written in the first person and makes the statement that even with old negative ideas about being unable to express emotions, he, Stephen, is affirming that today he can express emotions. Remember that to be effective, affirmations are done in the present tense. You, Stephen, are capable and willing to experience all of your emotions. This part of the affirmation is written in the second person and makes the statement that, although Stephen was once taught that showing emotions was unacceptable behavior, today he is allowed to show emotions. He, Stephen, is capable and willing to express all of his emotions. This part of the affirmation is written in the third person and makes the statement that regardless of the role models that Stephen had, and regardless of what people said about him, Stephen is capable and willing to express his emotions today. The whole affirmation would be, I, Stephen, am capable and willing to experience all of my emotions. You, Stephen, are capable and willing to experience all of your emotions. He, Stephen, is capable and willing to express all of his emotions. An important point to remember is that when strong positive affirmations are used, they will in most cases bring up strong negative feelings from the person's subconscious. When people who have had strong negative programming, such as ACAs, use positive affirmations, the negative feelings that are part of that old programming will surface. This is particularly true when the affirmation is being written. When writing an affirmation, it is important to acknowledge these negative feelings. This acknowledgement is an integrated part of the process of letting go of old programming. I have found that jotting down the negative thoughts after writing the affirmation is the most effective method of noting the negative response. After the affirmation has been written, along with the negative responses can be reviewed. This will give insights into the unconscious negative programming that is standing in the way of the fulfillment of the affirmation. After the negative responses have been written for approximately 4 days, you will have a good idea of what is standing in the way of the affirmation. At this point, discontinue writing the negative responses and just write the affirmation. The negative responses that surface during writing the affirmations make excellent material for discussion during counseling sessions and at ACA's groups. Often, as the affirmation is being written, the negative responses will transform into more positive responses. During this process of moving from negative to the positive, the ACA may even find that he or she is writing encouraging statements about the affirmation. Continuing to use Stephen as an example, the affirmation and his responses were as follows. I, Stephen, am capable and willing to experience all of my emotions. No, I can't do that. You, Stephen, are capable and willing to experience all of your emotions. I was told that it was bad to show emotions. He, Stephen, is capable and willing to express all of his emotions. No, I'm not. I, Stephen, am capable and willing to experience all of my emotions. What if someone sees me cry? You, Stephen, are capable and willing to experience all of your emotions. I'm afraid to let people in. He, Stephen, is capable and willing to express all of his emotions. I feel so sad. I, Stephen, am capable and willing to experience all of my emotions. Dad never cried. You, Stephen, are capable and willing to experience all of your emotions. This makes me feel sick. He, Stephen, is capable and willing to express all of his emotions. I won't be a man if I feel. I, Stephen, am capable and willing to experience all of my emotions. I'm afraid of what's bottled up inside me. You, Stephen, are capable and willing to experience all of your emotions. I'll lose control. He, Stephen, is capable and willing to express all of his emotions. The last time I cried, I was 10. I, Stephen, am capable and willing to experience all my emotions. Maybe I can. You, Stephen, are capable and willing to experience all of your emotions. It might not be so bad. He, Stephen, is capable and willing to experience all of his emotions. I think I will be able to. As can be seen in the above example, while Stephen was writing his affirmations, he moved from the negative responses that he wrote in the beginning to more positive and encouraging responses. Change can happen quickly when affirmations are used. Not only can affirmations be used to root out the old negative programming that ACAs have, but they can also be used to deal with immediate solutions that cause fearful responses. One ACA, Kim, called me on the phone and told me that she wanted to call a man that she was interested in to ask him to a party, but she was afraid to make the call. She had to make the call that night because the party was the next day. I asked her what kind of affirmation would fit this situation, and she created this affirmation. I, Kim, can ask Joe for a date. She wrote this several times and then made the telephone call. Most ACAs have difficulties in relationships. Some excellent affirmations to use with difficult relationships are: I, fill in the blank, am a healthy person, and I am capable of having a loving, intimate relationship. I, fill in the blank, no longer need, fill in the blank, to make me feel good about myself. I love myself and I deserve a good relationship. Affirmations are not really very new. People have been using them for years, even in the addictions field. How many times have you heard, I, fill in the blank, am clean and sober today? Now that's a powerful affirmation. Most ACAs really enjoy doing affirmations. It gives them an extremely positive payoff for doing a small amount of work and helps them feel good about themselves. Affirmations give the ACA an opportunity to take a visible, active part in their recovery process. The following is a list of some of the affirmations that are useful for ACAs. Every day in every way, I am getting better and better. Every day in every way, I am getting better, better, and better. I can accept all of my feelings as part of myself. The more I love myself, the more I am capable of loving. I am a whole, healthy human being. My life is unfolding as it should. I, fill in the blank, am lovable. I, fill in the blank, am loving. I, fill in the blank, deserve love. My true self is my sober self. My life has meaning and purpose. I am living my life one day at a time. Today, I can stay sober and happy. I have a right to be here in the world. I am the right sex. Be creative and add your own affirmations to the above list. Many ACAs have a spiritual unrest within them, and almost to a person, they have a desire to grow in a spiritual direction. Affirmations used in a spiritual context are powerful. I have found that ACAs who seek to expand and grow spiritually use this type of affirmation with great enthusiasm and effectiveness. Below are some examples of affirmations that have a spiritual dimension and direction. My higher self is guiding me in everything I do. My higher self is guiding me in everything I do. The Christ within me is creating miracles in my life today. I am letting go and letting God. I, fill in the blank, am living in the presence of divine love and light. I, fill in the blank, am at one with the spirit of the universe. The affirmations section of the FIS can be very powerful. In this section, the ACA can begin, and to a great extent complete, the process of replacing the negative programming learned in the alcoholic family with a more positive way of looking at the world. This is an important component of treatment for the adult children of alcoholics syndrome. Remember, be creative with this section. Create your own affirmations. Create ones that fit your needs and wishes. No one really knows what limits there are in using affirmations. If used correctly, your recovery will be both faster and more joyful. You got this.